Avatar 2. It's pretty, but the writing sucks. The end. So anyway, here's how to blue yourself. Or, if you have a friend, have them blue yourself for you.
Yay.
I think the ending to Avatar 1 is like the flashy thingy from Men in Black, because no one remembers what the hell happened in Avatar 1. Have you seen Avatar 1?
Yes, I
Can
don't
you tell me the
remember
name?
shit.
Can you tell me the name of the main character?
The tree?
The white man, the boring white man.
Not at all.
You can't. Jacob. Main character of Avatar.
Mike.
That scared me.
Did I guess right?
No. It was the highest grossing film of all time, and no one remembers anything about the story.
Is this right? I just say whatever to the video log?
Who's the main character? A lot of blank stares. I think it's because it engages your brain in a different way than a story. Storytelling is this primal evolutionary thing from like the dawn of language, you know, the invention of writing. We've had stories, the oral tradition, the hero with 1,000 faces, stories cut to our bones. But Avatar is like a pretty set of drapes. It's like, oh, it's nice to look at, but it's kind of like if I were to show a bunch of teenagers a Rothko, they'd be like, all right, that's pretty, I guess, or that's stupid because it's a Rothko. But you show them some boobies and evolution is like, these boys are gonna love the milkers, right? That's storytelling. Storytelling is big titties. Evolutionary, you're agreeing.
Definitely.
A good story is like a nice set of hooters. It takes over your brain in a way that's different from, say, seeing a nice set of drapes. So a good story is titties, Avatar is nice drapes. Like the best drapes you've ever seen, but you don't remember them.
But does the carpet match the drape strap?
I don't, you know, that's an interesting question for James Cameron. You're not gonna ruin your life trying to get those drapes in the way that women, am I right? You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna fuck this up for you
Oh,
then.
that's great. So I think when you go see Avatar in 3D, IMAX, you come out going, oh my God, that was great. And then you can't remember anything about it. It's kind of like if I were to ask you, hey, what happened when you were on that roller coaster 14 years ago? I mean, I know there were twists and turns and I didn't die at the end, but I couldn't tell you exactly what happened. It's called Avatar, but are any of the characters in avatars anymore? Download into like a proxy body, a blue cat thing. They don't do that in this movie. They're all just like permanently blue cats. Avatar 2, there's no avatars left.
Wait, they're not an avatar of themselves?
No.
Why not?
So you know what I'm saying? In the first movie,
I'm
you like
confused.
you get in a pod as a human, and
Right.
it like projects your consciousness. Now they're just permanent cats, or
What?
they're clones that are cats.
That's stupid. I'm not a makeup artist, but I'm about to make you
You're about to
blue-blue.
win an Academy Award. This has Matrix sequel nonsense written all over it, where it was like, hey, we blew your minds in the first movie. And instead of just like going with the premise and just elaborating on it, they're like, no, we gotta blow their minds again. So they keep like making up new shit that doesn't make sense.
Or something.
Because they're chasing this like, oh, it's mind-blowing.
Mind-blowing.
Now they're permanently downloading into blue cats, or they're clones, or they fucked the planet and had children with the planet. Does that sound like a good...
That sounds hot.
It makes the world feel less grounded. That when you just keep trying to make up new mind-blowing shit,
Yeah.
it's just sillier and sillier.
Don't do anything unusually stupid.
And when you do this, we're like cloning, reincarnation. You can be cloned, you can be in a coma and have sex with a planet and reproduce that. It's just, you know that the writers can just make shit up. You're never like, oh no, that character I care about died. What will happen? It's like, well, they can clone them, or they'll reincarnate as a blue person, or they'll have sex with the planet.
Or something.
And then their daughter, who looks just like them, played by the same actress, will be in this next movie, because that happens with Sigourney Weaver.
Wow.
There's like
She's
a-
in the next movie?
As like a 15-year-old who's the daughter of the original Sigourney Weaver who had sex with the planet while in a coma. So either the planet raped her because she can't consent because she's in a coma, or she is conscious, but is like sneaking in Pandora's box. Pandora's the name of the planet.
Oh.
Anyway, so I just went back and I rewatched Avatar 1. You would think I had seen Avatar 1 a lot because my cell phone, Samsung Galaxy S, just S, the S1. Anyway, it came preloaded with Avatar on it. Which is the way to watch Avatar, right?
On your
On
Galaxy.
the phone. Let me show you this. Avatar.
What? It's in there the whole movie?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't it a long one too?
And you can't delete it. It's just on there forever. I think you can delete it if you like plug it in the computer and do some stuff, but like on the phone, there's no way to delete
Wait, you're
it.
telling me that's from 2011?
Yeah, something like that.
But this isn't your everyday phone.
No, I haven't used this in years and years.
Okay,
and years.
great.
I
I
dug
was
this
gonna
up.
say.
You know, James Cameron came out the other day and said something about the theater experience isn't as much about like the giant screen and the surround sound as it is making this commitment to no distractions, that not being on your phone. Whereas if you watch a movie at home, you're gonna be sitting looking at your phone. So it makes me think that he was on board with this, because if you're watching Avatar on your phone, you can't also be on your phone.
Oh, I like that.
Anyway, I rewatched Avatar 1 on Blu-ray. Here it is. Don't chew on my arm.
No, I
no,
won't
don't
do
do that.
that.
It is very hard to keep characters apart because, you know, I'm not evolved to tell apart blue cat people faces.
Oh yeah.
I'm evolved to tell apart ape faces, and I'm not even good at that. I'm pretty terrible at it. It's a bad attribute to have as a teacher, being bad at faces and names.
Yeah, sure.
Knock it off. It's like kindergarten around here.
So there's like 16 blue cat people to keep track of, and it's like, oh yeah, that one's Sigourney Weaver. The rest of them, I'm like, I don't know who that's supposed to be. But you can tell who's who by their haircuts mostly.
Very nice.
Or like who wears cargo shorts or who's wearing the Stanford t-shirt.
Because they're all just blue guys now, again,
Yeah.
right?
But there are Space Marines, but they're wearing like sunglasses and crew cuts, and it's pretty hilarious, really. So anyway, I rewatched Avatar on my phone. My biggest takeaway from Avatar 1, rewatching it many years later, is I think Sam Worthington sucks. He's like a black hole of charisma, which, well, black holes are full of lots of stuff. So that means he's full of charisma, but it's invisible. He's full of invisible charisma. You can't see it. He gives off no charisma, but he has it because studios keep thinking he has it.
Candy-ass bitch.
But it's so dense. It's so dense.
It's so dense it can't escape.
Yeah.
What's the Schwarzschild radius? Is there Hawking radiation of his charisma?
Try and use big words.
He's just generic video game main character white guy. You know who I'm talking about? Sam Worthington?
Has he even been in other stuff?
He is in Terminator 4.
Oh, right, the forgettable one.
Is he even on the cover? There's not even a photo of him. Isn't he the main character?
It's really turning out so beautiful, Jeff.
I think part of why he sucks is that he's Australian doing an American accent. And this whole movie, you're trying to like avoid all these uncanny valleys. And even his voice is in a weird uncanny valley. It's like, that's not really an American voice. And it just rubs me the wrong way. It just sounds like a posh British guy trying to be like, I just love Coors Light in my pickup truck.
And they're grown from human DNA mixed with the DNA of the natives. Or something.
And on top of him being in this uncanny valley of his fake accent, I also just hate him. You can tell that like 2 years after the events of Avatar 1, he's getting a DUI and like a domestic violence arrest. That's totally what he seems like. And I'm a child of a military family. I'm not saying every military dude does those things. He just seems like he does. What's the Avatar equivalent of a DUI? You're high on catnip and you crash your dragon. Hey, fun fact, did you know that Sam Worthington became an alcoholic because of Avatar?
I did not know that.
Yeah, he said that. He said Avatar's success made him an alcoholic. Good. So to all you people that say Avatar 1 had no cultural impact, well, there's several beats in Avatar 1 where I want to just smack him. In Avatar 1, when he first downloads into his blue cat body, they're like, all right, you're in a new body, take it easy, we're gonna learn how to walk and stuff. And he's like, no, I'm gonna go outside and start running. I was like, oh my God. I just hope he fractures his femur and then they have to like put his avatar down and they're like, that's the end of the movie. And they do it, they think it's like endearing, and I don't think it is. And then in the second movie, they do the exact same thing with the evil Blue Colonel guy who's now a clone in an avatar. And it's like, but they're doing it to make him seem like an asshole. When in the first movie, they did the exact same thing to make it endearing. So pick a lane, you guys. When he meets Neytiri, sexy blue cat lady with hooters. James Cameron, by the way, insisted that they had to have big titties.
Yeah, do avatars have nips?
I don't remember. But James Cameron insisted when they were designing them, it was like, well, they gotta be sexy. They gotta have big titties, even though they're not mammals. He's the one that said they're not mammals. He said some very specific. They're not placental. He said they're not placental mammals, so they shouldn't have titties, but you gotta have titties.
Yeah, you gotta have titties so that they're sexy.
What if they were like really gross and ugly? What would have happened in Avatar 1?
It probably wouldn't have popped off so good. I'm sure
Yeah.
that there are porn parodies of Avatar.
We might be making it right now. So there's a part where he meets the blue cat lady with the titties, and she's trying to teach him some stuff. All right, he learned his lesson, and now he'll do what she says. And then he does it again. I hate him. And I think they're trying to make him this like everyman, like just a dumb everyman. And like there's all these beats where he's just like dull. I drink Coors Light and I'm an everyman kind of bro with a pickup truck.
Candy ass bitch. Or something.
Is this right? I just say whatever to the video log?
Try and use big words.
Or something.
And I don't listen to a lady trying to teach me stuff.
It's like kindergarten around here.
Just an everyman. He's not a science guy. He's not a nerd. He's just this like. It reminds me of Terminator 1. James Cameron wanted the T-100, T-101, the T-800, the robot in Terminator 1. James Cameron wanted it to be an everyman that would blend into a crowd, just like a guy. And it was gonna be Lance Henriksen.
I'm sorry, son of a bitch.
And then they're trying to get Arnold Schwarzenegger, and they wanted Arnold Schwarzenegger to be Kyle Reese, the human from the future. And Arnold was the one that was like, no, maybe I should play the robot. He wanted to give Arnold all of the dialogue from the future man. He was like, Sarah, you need to be, like, I have to make the baby for the future. Let me put my penis in so we can make a baby in your 18-year-old body. Like, he wanted monologues for Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then Arnold was like, no, maybe I'm the giant robot. Wasn't James Cameron's idea. Hilarious.
I don't know if you're gonna like this so much, but here goes nothing.
I mean, I don't have to look at myself. I guess I do later, don't I?
You're gonna have to wash it off later.
The writing of Avatar 1 and 2 sucks. The dialogue is bland and generic at best. And then it's cliche and cringy a lot of the time. For example,
every living thing that crawls, flies, or squats in the mud wants to kill you and eat your eyes for jujubes.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, bitch.
You're sticking a red-hot poker up my ass.
Sam Worthington's like explaining complicated things and these obvious terrible exposition moments, and he's like,
Mixed with the DNA of the natives. Or something.
and he does this more than once. He says, or something. Candy ass bitch. Fresh meat. Meals on wheels. We're not in Kansas anymore. They say that in both movies.
Oh, really?
Which, James Cameron, I'm in Kansas, so.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's not even accurate.
You're not in Kansas anymore.
They're on an alien moon, around an alien planet, around an alien star, integrating into an alien culture. And one of the aliens says to another alien, "It's called a punch, bitch."
What is this?
It's called a punch.
Also, they call each other bro a lot.
For aliens?
Aliens.
I feel like bro's kind of out, isn't it?
You're gonna get glitter in my hair.
I've noticed.
Don't forget to get glitter in your hair when you're going to Pandora. And then there's, you know, the world building, like unobtainium is the stuff they need to get. Pretty terrible world building. So the first film revolves unobtainium. That's the material. It's hilariously dumb.
That's so stupid.
I know.
It's like they
Unobtainium.
a placeholder and then forgot to go back and put it in.
Impossible to get.
Yeah, hard to get-ium.
Cannot obtainium.
Some kind of maglev effect, because unobtainium is a superconductor. Or something.
So the first film revolves around Sully's choice, ultimately. Where is your allegiance? Is it to humanity and Earth and the corporation? Or is it to this new group of sexy blue cats that you're integrated into? Or which way are you gonna go? But it's not a dilemma at all, because he has like no connection to Earth. We only know of one family member he has, which is his brother, who's dead already at the beginning of the movie. So he has no connection to Earth other than it sucks, and it's like overcrowded and polluted and shitty. And he doesn't have legs because it's expensive. Like, it's the future and we have all this technology, but sorry you can't have legs because we're in this like boring dystopia. So they're bribing him with legs. And it's like, all right, here's your choice. Help the blue cat people avoid genocide or aid genocide, and you get to have legs and live on shitty Earth again with no family or friends or lovers or anything pulling you back.
Doesn't sound that great.
Not much of a dilemma. That's the key to good storytelling, right? No dilemmas or choices.
Jeff, I think this is looking really incredible.
I'm feeling fabulous. There's a bunch of times when the Na'vi will be talking to each other in English, and then suddenly they'll switch, and then it'll be subtitled, and you're like, wait, was that all in English? Why are they all speaking to each other in English all the time? You know, when you watch a movie that's set in France, often it's in English, and you just understand, like, okay, we're translating it magically. But it's like when you change back and forth, where it's like, oh, so that was supposed to be in English, because now they're speaking Na'vi to each other. Why are they all speaking English to each other all the time? Like, there's meetings of the tribe, and the only person there that's a native English speaker is the main character. So they're all speaking English for him.
Oh,
it's like,
that's
what?
boring. Yeah, why?
They're speaking the language of the invaders, just to be nice.
You! Listen, brother. I'm scared! You mated with this woman?
Oh, shit.
Is this true?
We are mated before Ewa. It is done.
You are not my brother!
Jake falls out of the sky repeatedly and then like lands in the underbrush and is fine. And it's like the first time that happens is like, oh, he got lucky, he landed on some branches, whatever. And then the second time it happens is like, is this ever dangerous? And so the stakes are kind of like useless because you can fall out of the sky. Like you're flying around on these dragons you're trying to tame, but if you fall out of the sky, you might die, right? Except no, you don't. And then if you read the Avatar wiki, it explains that Pandora has like lower gravity and a very dense atmosphere, which means that like it's easier to fly, and if you fall, you don't fall very fast, and that's why they can survive these. And it's like, oh, that's sort of interesting to like read a wiki and like, oh, these interesting properties of a moon. That was more entertaining of a read than watching the movie and the like world building they actually did.
Shut your pie hole.
And also the end result is just like, oh, falling out of the sky has like no stakes anymore. Great, it's fantastic. So Pandora is kind of like Titan, the moon of Saturn, which is low gravity and has a very thick atmosphere, and humans could fly there. We could fly. If you had like, strap some wings on, you could do this, you could fly.
Wow, that sounds kind of fun. I would love that.
I may not be much of a horse guy, but I was born to do this.
But it's very cold, so that's a little bad. And then it has lakes that are liquid fart.
Liquid fart.
Methane. How the fuck do avatars work? Because you get in a pod and you're projecting your consciousness remotely into a body of a thing. What is it? Wi-Fi? Bluetooth? How? What do you tell me? What is it? Do you remember?
I betcha it's Wi-Fi.
We're thinking Wi-Fi. So they're broadcasting their consciousness like hundreds of miles. Do they like what? Can you do it from orbit? I don't know. Why do you have to be on the planet? And then there's this whole set piece, the final act, the big battle, right? And the premise is the bad guys, the people, can't use drones or missiles because it's got these weird properties. I think because of the unobtainium, it's like interferes with their signals.
Their instruments won't work up here. Missile tracking won't work. Some kind of maglev effect, because unobtainium is a superconductor, or something. If they bring the fight to us, then we have the home field advantage.
So instead of just like drone strikes to blow up the magic tree, they have to fly there, like people have to do it. You can't just shoot missiles because it's all interference. But you can broadcast your consciousness, no problem. So drones not allowed, brain Wi-Fi works fine. So if you have the technology to broadcast your consciousness into a blue cat, why can't you broadcast your consciousness into a drone? I get it, you're just manipulating these details because you need the final battle with the Ewoks against the AT-STs. All right, but it doesn't make any sense. Also, you're doing interstellar travel with psionically linked blue cat avatar bodies. What's your big weapon to take out the bad guys? It's a bomb that sits on like a pallet and you have the interns shove it out the back of the plane. That's the technology. Interstellar travel, tube-grown bodies. Interns shoving a box. Also, they can't figure out arrow-proof glass. Not even bulletproof. Arrow-proof glass. Can't figure it out. Their cockpits are all just like, up an arrow immediately.
Oh no, that's kind of bad science.
Maybe the arrows are made with unobtainium. If the arrows are unobtainium, write in the comments. Tell me to go fuck myself. I don't know. They never mention it in the movie though. So the big final battle, they have to fly their giant like aircraft carrier helicopter thing, which is horribly designed. It's got four big fans. It's like if any one of those four goes out, this thing's crashing. What an awful design. Anyway, it's their big aircraft carrier, and it'd be like if the US Navy just like drove their aircraft carrier right up to the beach so that the bad guys could shoot at it with AK-47s or something.
Or something.
So Jake shows up in his new blue cat body, and this should be like puberty times 6 levels of awkward. Because puberty, oh, my limbs are growing. He's in a new body. He should be such a clumsy fuck.
There's a few more sensory motor reflex tests we need to run. I need you to sit down. Jake,
it's okay.
Buddy, listen to me.
It's all good, I got this.
Jake, you need to sit down.
You need time to adjust to the
And he's a human who doesn't have legs at work. So like, he's not even used to just having legs. But in a matter of like 4 weeks, he becomes better at being a blue cat than the blue cats.
Oh.
Because he decides to go train a dragon that's like the awesome best dragon that's untrainable. And his plan is basically...
Its name is Untrainable Blonde.
Untamable. Untamable.
The way I had it figured, Taruk is the baddest cat in the sky. So why would he ever look up? But that was just a theory.
Yeah, right.
So with that little nugget, he's able to then tame the best awesome dragon that the Na'vi can't tame.
Wow.
And he's been in a blue cat body for like a month.
Huh.
So that's like super puberty.
That's pretty clever.
What's the human equivalent? Like a boy 14 shoots up 6 inches and then wins the NBA championship?
Look at all this fresh meat! Woo!
So he kind of becomes like leader of the tribe, and he gives the rousing speech about like, we got to stand up and fight for our rights. And it reminded me of Independence Day when Bill Pullman gives the speech.
In less than an hour, aircraft from here will join others from around the world. And you will be launching the largest aerial battle in the history of mankind. We can't be consumed by our petty differences anymore. We will be united in our common interest. We will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight. We're going to live on. We're going to survive. Today, we celebrate our Independence Day.
And he gives the speech in English. So like imagine this. Aliens invade. And it takes a few years, right? But we're starting our rebellion, and like 3 years into the invasion, we're rebelling, and one of the aliens is like a good alien, and it comes down to like tell us how to fight him. And it gives us a really rousing speech in alien language.
The Sky People have sent us a message.
In the final set piece action sequence, Jake and Neytiri, the blue sexy cat lady, versus the Colonel, the big bad Colonel, who's in a mecha robot suit, who holds a knife, a robot knife. So there's this moment where he's beating up Neytiri and has her pinned down and has like his knife out, and then Jake is like, no, come fight me. And all he has to do is be like, all right, and then like cut her head off and turn around. But instead he lets her go to turn around and fight her. And then like 2 minutes later, she kills him.
Oh.
This after he's given speeches and he has this giant scar, and he's like, never forget, the jungle can do this to you. And he has a chance to kill her, and he doesn't do it for no reason.
Every living thing that crawls, flies, or squats in the mud wants to kill you and eat your eyes for jujubes.
Give it up, Quarch!
Going between the mustache, Jeff.
Mapiltrum?
Would you like your mustache to be blue?
I'm gonna defer that to you. Big moon, small world. Wars don't often come down to like 2 people. We don't win Vietnam if Lieutenant Dan keeps his legs for an extra week. So I call this the Jedi problem, which is wars are about millions of people and all these military industrial complexes, blah, 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 blah. Stories are about people. Stories are about like 5 people. So how do you tell a story that is also the story of a world, but also like 4 people? I call this the Jedi solution, and no, that's not what Yoda calls his green goo. You want to tell a story, and stories are about people or anthropomorphic cats, and 1 or 2 people rarely make a huge difference in a war. A battle, 1 battle, sure. But why are these particular people so goddamn important?
Try and use big words.
So the Jedi problem / solution is that the Force, chosen one stuff, right? Harry Potter, he's the chosen one. John Connor, he's the chosen one. 47 movies. 6? There's 6 Terminators, is that right? 6, I believe, is a sequel to 2. Because James Cameron is back involved now. He was not involved in 3, 4, and 5. So they made 6, he's sort of involved, he didn't direct it. But they made it as a sequel to 2 that ignores 3, 4, and 5. James Cameron canon is 1, 2, 6.
Hey.
So I did that. I hadn't watched any of them in a long time. I watched 1, 2, 6. 6 is awful. Anyway, John Connor, the chosen one. So you can't, you go back and you kill a few soldiers, you don't change the path of a war. You kill Washington or Napoleon or Joan of Arc, maybe that does change a war. So in the original Star Wars, right, the Death Star battle, okay, a few people can swing a battle, and a battle could swing a war. So if you have a few people that are in the right place at the right time, the inflection point in history, stop the Death Star, okay, right, that makes sense. That's how Star Wars 1 works. Luke, Han, Leia, right place, right time. Okay, so why 5 movies later are Leia and Luke and Han still the most important people in the galaxy? Right place, right time, like 47 times, makes the universe feel like it's a cul-de-sac.
Small world.
Big moon, small world. Some war movie examples. Saving Private Ryan. Okay, it's not swinging World War II. Here's a goal, right? Save one person. It's not to win the war, it's to help one mom. Enemy at the Gates. They make one person very important for propaganda purposes, and then, okay, it all revolves around that, and Jude Law's sexy, so we want him to live.
Yeah, yes, Jude Law?
That's one of my favorite sex scenes in a film. Jude Law and Rachel Weisz doing it in the middle of a war. Pretty good sex scene.
You saw it in high school.
Terminator 1 sex scene. You seen Terminator 1?
I hardly remember. I was probably too young to see it.
I was definitely too young to see it.
And that's why you remember the sex scene so good.
It's maybe the first sex scene I ever saw.
Really?
Could be, yeah.
Wow.
Because I saw Terminator 2 when I was 5 in the theater. So I must have been immediately like, I want to see the first one, because I don't think I'd seen the first one yet.
Well, certainly.
So that's probably my first, like, oh, that's boobies and what they're really for. I getcha. By really for, I mean...
Honk, honk.
Why is Sully so important? It's because he has inside knowledge, right? The Na'vi don't know their technology, they don't know their tactics, but he does. So he should be the information guy. He's a Benedict Arnold, right? So what are the great tactics the Na'vi come up with because of him? Like, is it any different than, like, the Ewoks? It's pretty Ewok-y. Like, shoot the cameras, I guess.
Whoa. Dude, no! Oh!
Basically, the end of the film, though, is just, like, mindless action. And then he's, like, their super leader. He's John Connor and Benedict Arnold. All right, this part really bugged me. So Michelle Rodriguez, she's got, like, a helicopter thing. And she goes to attack the, like, evil Baghdad mega helicopter aircraft carrier thing, which has 4 fans. You take one out and it crashes, and she comes up behind it, and she's in a helicopter. They're not expecting helicopters to attack them. They're thinking, dragons will attack them, but other helicopters are good. So all she has to do is sneak up behind it, shoot the fan, and it crashes. But instead what she does is she, like, buzzes by it real fast, shooting and, like, missing everything important, and then suddenly is, like, in front of them and does this, like, face-off thing where they're like, oh, now we're face to face, and then they kill her. What the fuck are you doing? You just sit behind it and you blow up its... What are you doing? Oh my god. You dumb bitch.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, bitch. Right there!
Not the only one with a gun, bitch.
And then as you see in the sequel, same problem as the Star Wars sequel trilogy, where, like, the most important characters in this world are, like, the main character, and they're kids now. They're way more important than anybody else in this universe.
It's like kindergarten around here.
Shut your pie hole.
Shut your pie hole, penis breath.
Avatar 2. All right, we're ready. Let's do it. It's 15 years later. Sully is now the leader of the tribe because white savior stuff, of course. He and Neytiri, blue cat, sexy lady, big titties, James Cameron designed her. They have 4 children.
They can...
Well, he's in a blue cat body.
Okay.
At the end of the first movie, he becomes a blue cat permanently.
Forever
Do you recall this?
Yeah. No, I don't really remember anything from that movie.
Because
seriously...
it's the Men in Black flashy thing.
I remember bringing a smoked turkey that my dad made to the theater with me.
A whole
for
turkey?
Christmas.
They have 4 kids. 2 boys and 2 girls. But they have a different number of fingers than the normal... Because the Avatar bodies have a different number of fingers.
More or less, Jeff.
I think they have, like, human hands, and the normal ones only have, like, the 4 fingers. So he delivers this monologue about how the key to happiness is time away from the kids, date night with the wife. It's just a very immersive alien experience. And then they call each other bro.
Dude, no! Oh!
And then the sky people come back. You could just call them people. You don't need the sky part. We don't call them sky aliens. Anyway, the Sky People come back, and that includes the Colonel, who died at the end of Avatar 1. The Colonel has been reincarnated as a blue cat, and he wants revenge because they killed him. Except it wasn't him, it was his clone daddy. And on revenge on the blue cats, no, revenge on Jake Sully. Specifically that one guy and his children, because I guess they assume he has kids, I don't remember. So his whole goal, the bad guy, the big bad, his whole goal for the film is to hunt down Jake Sully and kill him. Personal revenge, that's it. No bigger world, unobtainium, never mentioned once. Sully is not even involved in like a resistance. He's just like, you know, hanging out with my kids. There's also a new character among the 4 children. There's a 5th child who's a human child who got left behind because the humans had to leave.
And they just like left behind one child?
They said that babies can't be sent back because they have to like freeze you. It's like a cryotube situation, and you can't cryotube babies. So they just like turn them loose.
You can literally have your like consciousness broadcasted via Wi-Fi, like you're saying, but
you can't freeze a baby.
Freeze a baby.
Don't freeze babies. So anyway, he's Tarzan, and his name is Spider.
Do they have spiders there?
Well, all their creatures, they're super cool alien creatures. They're all just like space whales, space dolphins.
But to them, it's
cats.
just a cat?
I don't know that spiders are a thing. So the human in a human body, again, not an avatar. Not a goddamn avatar in this movie. This could be an interesting character. A human growing up on that planet. He has to wear a like oxygen mask situation at all times. So you would think that like, oh, he could run out of oxygen, or is it CO2 scrubbers because it's high CO2 in the atmosphere? So what is on the mask? I don't know. Can you run out of mask fuel? The humans have been gone for 15 years. Is he gonna run out of mask fuel? Do they have to go find more at some point? It's never mentioned, never explained. He just has unlimited mask fuel. If Columbus had brought along like a diabetic kid that needs insulin all the time, and then just abandon him, and then like 20 years later, like, yeah, he's just shooting up insulin all the time. You're like, where is he? Is he running out of insulin? What's happening? And they just never talk about it. So you remember the whole reason they were on Pandora, the humans, why they went?
The jujubes.
They wanted to get something there. It was
hard to
Popos.
get. It was hard to get. It was not
nice
Popos.
Obtainium.
Unobtainium. Never mentioned. They don't need it anymore. They don't give a shit about it anymore. So they're not there for that. They come, the Sky People are back, but not for unobtainium. And all I can really gather is that it's because Earth sucks, and they're like, oh, we're gonna take over Pandora and terraform it so that humans can move here.
They'd rather hang out there instead.
Okay, so if your goal is to colonize it and terraform it and turn it into Earth, thus making it inhospitable to the Blue Cat people who live there, who don't have to wear masks. The bad guy in this is the Blue Cat Colonel. They reincarnated. Why are you cloning these people as blue cats? Because now your goal is to terraform the planet so it's inhospitable to blue cats. So won't those people be like, wait, where the fuck do I go after we terraform this planet? So we learned that the Colonel and his crew of Space Marines, the reason they were reincarnated, cloned, as blue cats, the planet's immune system detects humans. So to sneak around, you're a blue cat. And so you can sneak around now and blend in. Cut to the Space Marines dressed in like just regular human clothes and like sunglasses and crew cuts and cargo shorts, carrying guns. And they have Spider, the human. They bring him along. Thus they're bringing a human along with them, negating their whole, we aren't humans, so we blend in thing. Maybe give them like robot suits.
You would think just like with some kind of undetectium.
Sounds like something Bill Cosby is gonna invest in. So the Colonel, he wants his revenge, right? He gets to Pandora, he's a blue cat now. Him and his crew of Space Marines are like, all right, we're gonna go out into the shit, into the jungle and explore. They're in the jungle for about 14 minutes, maybe, and they find Sully's kids and his own old dead body.
Really fast.
He's explored 1/millionth of the moon and he's found Sully's kids.
Wow.
And his own kid, Spider.
That's very convenient.
Spider is the Colonel's kid.
Oh.
Not just a random human that was left, it's the Colonel's kid that was left.
And he just like ran into him, right?
He runs into Sully's kids and Spider and his own dead body. He's been there for 10 minutes.
So did he know where to look?
Well, he was going to where his dead body was. I think that was the goal. He's
And-
trying to go find where that fight was so he can get the cockpit voice recorder from his mecha suit so he knows what happens to him. Why? How did my clone daddy die? So when he goes to do that, Sully's kids just so happen to also be there exploring that site, even though they've never been there before. They're like, now's the time to go explore that site.
Today,
and they
on the
immediately,
one day that they go, he happens to be scoping out there.
So it'd be like if I went to Canada and I just walked in the first bar I found and my Canadian ex-girlfriend was there with the baby I didn't know we had together. He picks up his own skull, although it's not his skull, it's his clone daddy's skull. And there was like a very Hamlet moment. Could be interesting if we cared about that character, but we don't. So he captures Spider, which is his son, and Spider hates him because he's grown up Na'vi. They bring him along to be like their translator, even though they do speak Na'vi, but he speaks it better. So they bring him along for that. And also every time possible that he can help by like sabotaging whatever the humans are doing, or the evil blue cat people. Basically Spider is hanging out with the bad guys, and at every possible moment where he can like sabotage something, he does it, and they just keep bringing him along to do that.
Oh.
So they have, you know, the big evil helicopter in the first one. Now it's a big evil Akronoplan. So they bring him and they put him on like the bridge of it. And so at the very perfect moment, he goes and just like jams the throttles to like crash it. They just keep letting him sabotage stuff whenever he feels like it. Because he's the Colonel's kid, but not really kid because it's the kid of the clone daddy. It's the clone daddy. He's like a Neff clone. Okay, so imagine this. The evil Space Marines return after being gone for 15 years. America comes back after Vietnam in 1990 to finish the job with unlimited resources, and they're hunting you specifically. And you're living in your village, and they're coming to get you and kill you, so you leave your village so they don't come and just carpet bomb your village, right? And they want to kidnap your children, so you take your kids and you gotta get out. So where do you go?
The forest.
You go hide. Go hide.
Space.
Go hide in the jungle. How are they gonna find you? But what do instead? They go find a different tribe and live with them, thus ensuring the humans, the evil Space Marines, will come hunt you down at your new tribe and then carpet bomb your new tribe. Right. So they go to this new tribe, which instead of forest jungle people, they're a sea people. They're like Maori, Tongan, Pacific Islander peoples, but they're cats. So the sea people are like, hey, don't come here, because then they'll hunt you down here, and we don't want that. And you're like, yeah, I agree with them.
Yeah, that's kind of rude.
They go to this
that's really messed up.
new tribe, and the new tribe are like a bluish green people. You might have to go green me. Anyway, point is, fuck you assholes. Go live in the woods alone. Why are you're just bringing the bad people to come murder this town of Tongan Samoan.
Yeah, just fucking it up for everybody.
Jacob Sully and his children are fish out of water, but they're cats in water. They're cat in water, fish out of water, because they don't know how to swim. And these people are like, you're so dumb. You guys don't know how to swim. So they learn to swim the middle of the movie, and it's just like a 3D IMAX aquarium screensaver thing. You're just looking at like, ooh, look at the wildlife. This is why the movie's over 3 hours long. It's because James Cameron's like, hey, look at all these space whales and space dolphins and space sharks I made. They repeat this from the first movie, which is when Sully gets to the tribe in the first movie. He has to learn like how to tame a dragon.
I may not be much of a horse guy.
Live in the jungle, and now they're like, Jake and his children are having to learn how to live in the water and learn how to tame a dolphin. We're just killing time with our 3D IMAX aquarium until the final battle. Humans that are blue cats with technology fight the Native American sea peoples without technology. I wonder who's gonna win. What's different this time is Sully's a dad and he has 4 kids. And the fact that they gave him 4 kids means you know that they're gonna kill off one of the kids. If you gave him 1 kid, you're not gonna kill off the 1 kid. That would be pretty dark. But you give him 4, it's like, oh, you can sacrifice 1 and then we can grow as a family. And see also The Patriot with Mel Gibson. Just saying, if you're watching a movie and the main character has like 7 kids, it's because they're gonna kill some of them.
They didn't do that in Vasectomy.
That's a fair point. If you're watching a comedy, maybe they don't kill the children. Vasectomy is the exception to the rule for all storytelling devices. So there's a lot of stuff in here about like sibling rivalry, and then Sully's kids are like the new kids in the school at this water village because they're different, because they're a different shade of blue. So there's like bullies, and then there's like kids that are nice to them. It's all very generic, just like, we're the new kids in town. And again, I can't tell any of these characters apart. Did I mention Sigourney Weaver fucked the planet?
And she had a baby.
She had a baby. With no dad.
planet.
The dad is the planet. Somebody says, and I quote, "The way of water has no beginning or end."
Or something.
And that's the name of the movie, and it's a 3-hour movie. There's a part where they're swimming, and then like a space shark is after them. Guess how they get out of this predicament?
There's always a bigger fish.
There's always a bigger fish. There's a part where there's a whale, and it has like a thorn in its paw thing. Sully's kid goes and like helps him get the thorn out. It's like a harpoon situation,
Okay.
but it's absolutely the thorn in the paw.
Okay.
And then he befriends the whale. How do I look?
You look like Tobias Fuke.
Did I blue myself?
Do you have an audition yet?
Oh, no, I'm not in the group yet. No, I'm afraid I just blew myself.
The sea people know sign language because they need to communicate underwater with each other, and they can't talk. So underwater, the sea cat people will do sign language. And he's sort of learning it. And then he does the sign language to the space whale, who, again, can't do sign language. It's just like... The whale starts, like, squeaking at him, and like... And it gets subtitles. And I laughed out loud. They subtitled the whale. Amazing. An hour of the film, we do the following. Whalers show up. Humans are whaling on the moon. They're whalers on the moon. They carry a harpoon. We're whalers on the moon. We carry a harpoon. And we sing something, and we tell tall tales, and we sing our whaling tune.
But our Fungineers think it might have happened something like this.
We're whalers on the moon. We carry a harpoon. But there ain't no whale, so we tell tall tales and sing our whaling tune. We're whalers.
That's not how it happened.
We then learned the whale's backstory, which was it's been ostracized from its pod of whales because it's been framed for murder.
The whale?
The whale was framed for murder.
Is the whale somebody's avatar?
No, it's just a whale. It's a space whale. But it was framed for murder, and so the pod of whales kicked it out, and it's an ostracized whale.
It murdered another...
No, it didn't. It was framed. It was framed.
Another whale, though.
No. I don't remember. I think it killed a whaler or something.
Or something.
But the whales are pacifists and don't believe in killing.
It killed the whaler, the guy who's trying to kill the whales.
Maybe. I forget who the whale... The whale's framed for somebody's murder. I don't remember. We're doing a metaphor where the colonizers are whaling so that they can get the goo out of the whale skulls, which is exactly like the 17th to 19th century whaling trade that we did. It's not a metaphor, James Cameron, when it's just like, you're just doing the thing exactly. Do you know about sperm whales? You had to drill a hole in their skull, and in their skull there's this big vat of like goo, a special goo.
Is that ambergris?
No, ambergris comes from their vomit or something.
Or something.
And is used in
perfume.
This is pure ambergris right here.
Oh, sure.
But no, I think whale oil. So they use this for like lanterns and shit. But sperm whales have this giant tank of it in their skull, and I think it's used for like a buoyancy thing maybe or something. They got a giant tank of it. So there's photos where they would drill this hole and they would drop like a child in, like a minor, and it's like hoisting buckets of whale skull goo up
like
through the hole.
Like a minor or a minor?
Both. There's this metaphor where the colonizers are whaling and drilling into the skulls of the whales to get the goo because it's very valuable space whale goo. This is a metaphor. I want to hear some guesses. What does the goo do?
The jujubes.
Why is it very valuable whale skull? It's part of the brain we establish. The part of the brain responsible for them being very super smart.
What does the goo do?
And they get a vial of it and they're like, this is worth $1 billion or something like that.
Is it like...
Why is it so valuable?
It's the best lube in the universe.
Best lube in the universe.
I was gonna say favorite condiment.
Condiment?
Yeah, popular condiment.
What's the most you're willing to spend on a condiment?
I love sriracha. And
would you spend $1 million on a bottle of sriracha?
If it was like the last one, if I had the money and I could, like...
Think about it.
I think it makes you smarter.
Smarter. Super smart. Makes you super smart.
It fuels their newly made vehicles.
Starship fuel.
Don't do anything unusually stupid.
Yes.
It's the fountain of youth.
Come on.
Makes humans live forever.
Oh, that's so cliche. That's so boring.
Remember when colonizers went to the Americas and were like doing whaling and also were like searching around for the fountain of youth?
And they're still searching for that?
We're doing that in space. Very long section where we learn how like the whaling works, where they're like shoot the harpoons and they like inflate things to like bring it up. It's like the scene in Jaws where they're like hunting. So we see like all these intricate details of like how it works, and we're like, oh, these evil whalers. Oh, we feel very bad for the whale because they go in its skull and they're like drilling into its brain, and it's like, ugh. And then in the ending of the film, when they're going after the friendly whale who was framed for murder, that's friends with our children now, and we kill those whalers, obviously. And it's like, yeah, he killed the whalers. My point is, James Cameron, make a movie about Greenpeace going out and killing whalers, like on Earth right now. That would be fun. That would be a fun film, right? Greenpeace people going out and just like hunting down like Japanese whale poachers. We're talking Free Willy 4, Willy Unchained. Free Willy, Free Furious. There's a nature orgy. You're supposed to turn your brain off and go, look how pretty it is. I wrote this down. Whales versus acronoplons, dragons versus helicopters, dolphins versus submarines, jet skis versus piranhas. That's what's gonna be in the final act. I was pretty close. I did I did watch Piranha 2. And there's a lot of blue people underwater.
Well, at my age, every moment counts. Say, Ronnie, you wouldn't care for a casual encounter, no complications? I could show you a thing or two that would put these young girls to shame.
Dr. Leo Bell, DDS, at your service.
Hi, I'm Beverly.
The Mr. Muscle contest at 4:30, I'm judging. And the new reggae band at 8, which means they might arrive by 9.
Mutant strain or genetic engineering?
Yeah, I guess. Anybody doing stuff to fish?
The Army was, but that was several years ago. They developed a sort of killer fish to screw up the rivers in Vietnam.
Apocalypse 2.
And it's anti-capitalist as well. It's just like Jaws where they're like, maybe close the beach because people are dying. And it's like, no, I'm evil corporation. We have to keep making money.
You're sticking a red-hot poker up my ass by canceling now?
It's my advice for you to stop all of the water activities until we find out what's going on.
So the final act is basically the bad colonel, who's a cat now, captures Sully's children and is like, I tied them up. Sully, come out and fight me one-on-one or I'll kill your children. The chief of the greenish blue people's tribe, they have children's too. Children's. Some of the kids of the chief of the new tribe are with with Sully's kids. They're all captured, whatever. So the green tribe and then Sully's family are going to fight and they're all riding their dolphins. Come on out. Just Sully, so we can fight until it kills Sully, and I'll let your kids go. And instead, they attack, and we have a big final battle. The whale's on their side, things like that. The blue-green people just vanish and aren't there anymore for the end. With no explanation. You're gonna have to watch the 5-hour extended cut to find out where they went. Sully's kids are captured and tied up, right? And then they like rescue them sort of, but the battle goes on, and then the bad colonel and his space marines recapture the kids and retie them up. And one of the kids even says, I can't believe I'm tied up again.
Shut your pie hole.
I was like, oh my God, I can't either. Jesus Christ.
Ridiculous.
And it's like, you noticed your writing sucked, and instead of fixing it, you're like, what if I like hang a lampshade on it? That fixes it, right? The whole time, you just feel like I'm watching $500 million of work on people like CGI artists, millions of dollars being spent on everything, and then the writing was like 3 interns. We have a final battle, which is Titanic meets Abyss meets Avatar. Because they're in this chronoplan thing, and it has just like an abyss where it's like in the middle of a room is the water. It's like the bottom of a boat.
Okay.
It's like where they drop their submarine out.
The abyss.
And it's sinking because they crashed it because they let Spider on the bridge for no reason and he crashed it. So it's sinking just like in Titanic. And then they've got like a hostage situation. They do this like Mexican standoff where the blue colonel takes a kid and is gonna like kill him. So the mom takes Spider, even though he's lived with them his whole life. So it's kind of her own foster kid. They defeat the blue cat colonel and he's drowning. And Spider rescues him and saves him for the sequel. It feels like the end of an episode of the original like Batman.
He doesn't really kill
You
him.
catch the bad guy, but he gets away to be a problem next week. I imagine Blue Cat Colonel Man is gonna turn good in the next one. But they'll make more clones of him.
Wait, you think there's gonna be another one?
They've already made 3. It's coming out in a year and a half.
Ew.
And they said if 2 makes money, which it's already hit $2 billion, they'll make 4 and 5.
Oh, so they're doing it for the Disneyland Avatar world.
Here's the weird thing. James Cameron, you think monumental director, he's only directed 9 movies.
I'm the king of the world!
Since Titanic in 97, he's only directed 2 films, and it's Avatar 1 and 2.
Why did he wait 10 years?
For the technology to catch up to his vision of the water.
The next one is about fire.
It is.
It is?
I think that's right.
No way!
Yeah.
And the other one's about Earth?
We don't know what all the elements are. And people are arguing now, like, well, what's the element from Avatar 1? Because they're like jungle people?
Earth.
Is that Earth? Is it jungle? Is
it air?
Is it wood?
Do you respect wood?
Avatar 2 nitpicks. That's the section we're in now. So far, these haven't been nitpicks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, now they're nitpicks.
Yeah, lay it on me.
The whale hunting seems very just coincidental. Why are they on this planet? They're like the terraform colonize it, and then because we follow Sully, who's hiding out on a Pacific Islander colony, and then they just kind of run into the whalers, and it's like, oh, by the way, the Fountain of Youth. Well, it's like 2 hours into the movie, you're like, the Fountain of Youth is in whale skulls?
Come on.
What? Just like on accident, and you don't need it. You don't need it at all. The movie does not turn on this Fountain of Youth thing. The bad guys are so unambiguously evil. There's no dilemma. Like Spider should have a dilemma because he's like living with aliens on this alien planet. He's like the reverse of Sully. And it's like maybe he would want to go to Earth and live with his clone dad, who's a blue cat though, so he can't do that. Oh, and his dad is evil, like so evil. And he's hanging out with these like whalers that are super evil. And also, Jermaine Clement is in it.
I love him!
As an evil whaler.
Oh my god, he's like one of my biggest crushes from high school. Love him.
I think he's doing an American accent. Meanwhile, someone else that's a whaler is doing a New Zealand accent.
Or something.
This planet is intelligent, and we learned in the first one from Sigourney Weaver that there's like neurons in the planet, and the planet's like a giant brain, and it's all interconnected, and the planet has consciousness, and it's magical, and there's a magic tree with souls in it or something. And then the character who's Sigourney Weaver's daughter that was conceived like Jesus, like there was no father,
it's
because
horny for Sigourney.
The planet's horny for Sigourney. This girl conceived magically, magic planet, she has visions, and they're all like, you're delusional. It's like, what? Why do they not believe her? This is insane.
They have every reason to believe her.
And they're supposed to be all like spiritual and stuff, and she's like, I had a vision. They're like, no, you didn't, you're crazy.
Dad, I know you think I'm crazy.
During the final battle, it's like, oh, it's an eclipse. And there's made this whole thing about there's an eclipse, and it seems like something's gonna happen. There's gonna be some weird effect on the planet because of the eclipse. And then it just gets dark and it like makes no difference whatsoever. I have no idea what that was supposed to mean. Write in the comments, what the fuck was the eclipse for? All the clones have this same hairstyle as the people. Like the Colonel has his buzz cut. He wakes up with his like buzz cut. Seems very silly, but at the same time, it's like you have to do that so I can tell the characters apart.
It streams not only your consciousness, but also your hairstyle.
Haircut, yeah. So Avatar 5 coming up. Pandora is turned into the White Lotus, I believe. That's what's gonna happen, right? By the 5th film, the Na'vi all work at a resort where they have to like we're gonna do native dances, but they're all just like poorly paid employees.
And somebody dies. I love it.
And then Avatar 6, some humans who feel bad about what happened to the Na'vi. Space James Cameron feels bad about what we did to Blue Cat people, so he makes a film about purple space Elmos. Avatar 4, they go to the desert and the Space Marines come drilling for oil. That makes you horny?
For Sigourney.
Horny for Sigourney oil. Avatar 7, the Na'vi make a super weapon that's gonna go blow up Earth, and now they're the bad guys. They made a big deal over the fact that Kate Winslet broke the record for filming underwater while holding her breath. She held her breath for over 7 minutes.
Am I dead? Am I dead?
She broke Tom Cruise's record, which was 6 minutes something. I read that and I was like, oh, Kate Winslet was in that movie? Because they're holding their breath underwater wearing a thing with dots on their face that are then just turned into CGI blue cats. They spent like a year learning how to like hold their breath underwater, and literally I'm watching it not thinking like these are real people underwater. This is just CGI nonsense. I didn't even know Kate Winslet was in the movie and I watched it. So good job pioneering all that technology and putting the actors through like an arduous year of risking their lives underwater so we could capture the depth of their performances.
Good job hiding the beautiful Kate Winslet.
There's frame rate nonsense. It's 24 frames per second, which is normal a lot of the time. And then sometimes when they're underwater and it's James Cameron porn time, it's 48 frames per second. And it is very disorienting. Maybe not disorienting. It's very noticeable and like weird. And then you're sitting in a theater thinking about the frame rate and what is that doing to your brain and why does this look weird? Very immersive experience. Stick to one frame rate. God damn it. It just makes me feel like movies are turning into like an amusement park ride. And in the future, you're not gonna have like all these movies coming out. You're just gonna have like 15 movies a year come out and then they just play for like a year and a half straight. Just like in a year, you can go to the movie theater. What's there? Avatar 3 and Ant-Man 4, Star Wars 10, and they'll just each play for a year at a time. And most movies, you just watch at home. Like that's what we're heading to. I'm gonna quote Robbie Collin from The Telegraph. Without wishing to sound like an Avatar racist, this is a really good sentence. It also doesn't help that the Na'vi all look so similar, which means the cast's distinctive screen personas become lost in the pixely wash. No great loss when it comes to Sam Worthington, the hunt for whose screen persona is about to enter its 23rd year. Has anyone ever heard of the book The Word for World is Forest? It's an Ursula Le Guin book. Here's what this Ursula Le Guin book is about. Basically, Avatar. It's Avatar. The humans are on the alien planet, and the natives fight back against the evil humans. And they learn to use violence when they weren't violent to begin with. And so they win the war and kick out the humans. But then this idea of using violence penetrates their culture, and so they lose. It's kind of like it opened a Pandora's box. Avatar 2 should be grappling with the change in the Na'vi culture after this giant war, like what happens to Vietnam after America leaves. What about technology? Like, do they start learning how to use weapons and maybe they start fighting with each other because they've learned how to use weapons and violence solves your problems? Maybe something's new. It brings to mind Terminator 2, right? Terminator 1, Sarah Connor, 18-year-old waitress, just some girl. Terminator 2, she's this like badass paramilitary leader and hanging out in Mexico, banging dudes to get access to their armories. What a great character. And apparently that was Linda Hamilton's idea and not James Cameron's idea. She was like, I don't want to do the movie if I'm just like a waitress again. But instead the Na'vi are just still like unambiguously like virtuous Native Americans that are in tune with nature and pure, and they've not learned anything. They're still using bow and arrows. So I rewatched Terminator 1 and 2. I hadn't seen them in a while. And they're great. They're so good. And I hadn't seen 6. Apparently it didn't occur to me to watch it. And I think maybe I confused 5 and 6. So I was like, I already thought I watched it. I literally turned it on going, I've already seen this, but it's like, oh wait, no, that was 5. Tell that to like 10-year-old me that I would be like, oh, there's a new Terminator? I don't know, I lost track of them. Because I was so excited about Terminator 3. Like they were teasing Terminator 3 for about a decade until it came out, and then you're like, oh, that was disappointing. Here's one thing I learned on the rewatch. Kyle Reese has sex one time. He's like totally a virgin. He has sex one time and he makes the savior of humanity. quite a first time. Also, the love story in Titanic ends in Leonardo, the main character, sacrificing himself by lowering himself into an inhospitable liquid because it's cold. Terminator 2 ends with Arnold sacrificing himself by lowering himself into an inhospitable liquid because it's hot. The Abyss, Ed Harris sacrifices himself by going really deep into an inhospitable liquid. Like, oh my, James Cameron's got something fetishy going on with inhospitable liquids. So thinking back to Terminator 2, Linda Hamilton is like, I know the apocalypse is coming and I'm this like doomsday prepper training, I'm raising my kid to be a hero, warrior, and like a crazy person, but like you get why, it makes sense. Why isn't that happening to any of the Na'vi? Like Sully, he knows the Sky people are coming back. He has children. Why isn't he raising his children to be like badass warriors? Why aren't they going around trying to come up with new weapons to fight them? Why bow and arrow is still the thing? There's no like arc to the Na'vi. They're not any different. They're still just like, we're pure. Terminator 2 in the like director's cut, there's a different ending where it's 2029 and Linda Hamilton's like,
John fights the war differently than it was foretold. Here, on the battlefield of the Senate, his weapons are common sense and hope.
Common sense. I was like, oh my god, that's what's going on in the Senate. Common sense, holy shit. Another thing in the special edition, there's more of Miles Dyson and his family, and it's just kind of like filler scenes where you meet him and his family, and the wife's like, you need to spend more time with the kids, and it's like, I get why these are cut. But it's like the scenes in Terminator 1 where you're seeing Sarah Connor be just like a normal person, just like being a waitress. Meanwhile, the Terminator's doing his terminating. It's like the beginning of the horror movie where the horror monster is like being evil and then you're watching the unsuspecting people just going about their normal lives. You see more of Miles, you see more of his family while knowing Sarah is like about to come after them. So you've got this like reversal. It's interesting. You spend more time thinking about the fact that like she's the Terminator now, and the robot is good, but she's the Terminator now. It's interesting, and you kind of dwell on that thought more. And then it's like Avatar 2, we're gonna do the same sort of thing. We're like, oh, remember, evil robot becomes good robot, and now it's like, well, evil human becomes evil cat. James Cameron's just running back his greatest hits. There's all these stories about James Cameron having just like pages and pages and pages of notes and scripts that are like super dense and like hundreds of pages long, because he's just got all the backstory, all this world building. And when he's like, he's building model ships for a movie and he's like, oh yeah, the ship is like this because of these details, all his world building. And then you watch this movie and it's like, these are aliens and they're saying bro a lot.
Candy ass bitch. Dude, whoa, dude, no, oh!
And being like, it's called a punch, bitch. It's like, where is all this goddamn world building? Compare this alien civilization to the Abyss, right? The Abyss, you've got this weird alien thing you can't even like make contact with. Its body's this is a very alien interaction. And then in this movie, you're like embedded in an alien civilization and it's just like normal. It's just like sibling rivalries and new kids in the school. It's like, this isn't alien at all. Fucking world building, man. Just generic, goddamn generic shit. Also, the women, it's very patriarchal. Like all these, it's alien in all these ways. And it's like, yeah, well, the men are like warriors and the women are like the homemakers. It's like, really? All right. And the women have titties too, right? Because aliens have titties, so that makes sense. There's like a million ways you can make their biology or sociology or the planet makes these different things. Maybe, here's a thought. They don't have clear parentage. Maybe it's this weird way they have orgies, I don't know. And there's no sense of like, oh, this child is mine. They're just like, the whole village raises the children, whoever comes up, and they don't, maybe they don't give birth, so they don't know. Maybe they make a pile of eggs and they have an orgy on top of it. You have no idea whose kids are whose, right? So there's no like, oh, that's my son. And then Jake comes along and he's got a different number of fingers. And so that's a thing where they're like, his kids are hybrids and they have the wrong number of fingers. So everybody can tell that they're like half human, sort of. So what if he comes along and then it's like, oh, well, we before always thought the kids were just the kids of the village, but because they have the wrong number of fingers, we know those are his kids? And that could be a weird disruptive thing to this society. It's something I just thought of in 40 seconds. Another one of Cameron's greatest hits, the feral child spider Newt in Aliens. Feral child left behind on the planet. Oh, yep, did that again. Piranha 2 blew people underwater. Aliens, the cargo loader, the mecha suit, Sigourney Weaver.
You're fired.
Whoa. Dude, whoa, dude, no! Oh!
We're just playing the hits again. He's made 9 movies and he's already run out of ideas. Evil corporations, Piranha 2, Aliens, Avatar 1 and 2.
You're sticking a red-hot poker up my ass by canceling now.
So big theme, right, is exploitation by a giant corporation, natural resource that they want to exploit. And this, according to James Cameron, has to be the 3rd highest grossing film of all time to break even. We're undermining the environment to exploit a resource. The environment it's undermining is filmmaking and storytelling. See, that's what sucks about these movies, is that they have to make like $1.5 billion or whatever to just break even. You're not gonna take any risks. So the story is gonna be just like generic, cookie cutter, things we know that work, that we've seen 50 other times in other movies. It's just the CGI is updated. That's all it is. It's just a new flavor of CGI for the same old bullshit. They're not interesting. They're not original. So imagine if instead of making $2 billion movies a year, we made like $100 million in movies a year. And like, they could take risks and be different and like not try to appeal to everyone. And the audience is everyone, because we can't just be like, well, this is for a mature audience and more mature themes, because then it won't make $1 billion. It'd be like if music, the whole music industry, there was like 12 songs and every artist was just like doing covers of the same 12 songs. Like this year we've got a ukulele version. James Cameron is this like force of nature who is like, I have a vision, I'm gonna go make it. And I don't know how I'm gonna make it work. We don't know if we have the technology to make it work. I'm gonna make a liquid Terminator. You know, he comes up with the vision and then is like, we'll figure out how to make it work. The Avatar movies feel the other way around. Here's what I can make on screen. Now let's come up with some story to prop that up. There's a story about James Cameron that he only respects 2 jobs on a film set because he can't do it better himself. He thinks he can do everything else better. One is acting, because James Cameron can't act for shit.
I'm the king of the world!
And the other is caterer. Having written for a low budget, I can tell you it's like surprisingly difficult, because if you're sitting there thinking like, all right, here's the sets I have, here's the actors I know, here's shots and places I think I can use, and you're working backwards from that to then like, what story can I tell with this? It changes the way you think, and it makes it much more difficult. If instead you're just like, what do I want to write? What's the story I want to tell? And then you just make up whatever shit you want to make up and just go, I don't know, that's somebody else's job to film it. So James Cameron is the one who's like, I'm gonna tell whatever story I want to tell. Screw whether it's practical or not, we'll figure that out. And he worked for Roger Corman, and he's good at figuring out how to make that happen, how to get that on screen. Here's an example. In Terminator 1, he wanted a shot where Arnold Schwarzenegger as a robot on the hood of the car, on fire, punching through the windshield, grabbing Linda Hamilton while the car's driving. And they're like, we cannot do all of those at the same time. Like, we can make a shot if the car is stationary and we can do one of these things, but we can't do that safely with the car driving. So here's what they came up with. Car is stationary and they're doing it. He's punched through the windshield. And then next to the car, they have another car drive by, and that car or van has a like brick or fake brick wall, a brick facade on it, and that's driving by. And so it makes it look like the car is moving, but it's actually the facade that's driving by. The alien in Abyss, the liquid Terminator in Terminator 2. How the fuck are you shooting inside a sinking ship in Titanic? All right, but he figured them out. But Avatar movies feel the opposite to me. It feels like he's just obsessed with the technology. Oh, I'm gonna do 48 frames a second. I'm gonna do 3D. And the story is the brick facade. The story is the practical thing they gotta come up with later to prop up their 3D IMAX underwater porn. So that's my review. It's pretty and it's dumb. Unlike me, I'm only pretty. I asked an AI to write a review for me in my style. So here we go. Here's a cynical asshole who hates movies, according to ChatGPT. Is that what it's called? Avatar: The Way of Water is just another overhyped, CGI-filled disaster that Hollywood is trying to pass off as a blockbuster. The story is predictable and cliche, following the same tired formula of a white savior coming to save the noble savages. The acting is wooden and the dialogue is cheesy and cringeworthy. But the worst part has to be the visual effects. See, AI can't do what I do. It doesn't know which parts to complain about. Stupid. It's just a bunch of blue people running around on a fake-looking planet, and I found myself checking my watch multiple times during the movie. Don't bother with this one, it's not worth the headache. So the AI thinks I own a watch. See, this is what you don't get from the AI, right? It doesn't know that I don't own a watch. And also it doesn't come up with these sweet titty analogies that I can come up with. I also asked it to do this in the style of a clever but drunk film critic.
Try and use big words.
And that guy loved this movie. Quote, Jake Sully's journey from outsider to warrior is just so darn relatable. Also, quote, don't forget to bring a box of tissues, because this film will have you bawling by the end. See, AI suck. Anyway, that's all I have. So now I'm gonna watch Avatar 1 on my phone here. Came loaded on it. The Avatar app. Came with an app. Avatar the way it's meant to be watched.
We're whalers on the moon. We carry a harpoon.
And we sing something, and we tell tall tales, and we sing our whaling tune.
That's not how it happened.
I put on pants so you wouldn't see my bulge.
Yeah. I'm never gonna stop thinking about that this week.
That was the first song I ever downloaded illegally on Napster.
Really?
Yep. I was like, I can download any song I want for free. Blue, Eiffel 65. Bring it on. This is what I want.
Hi, I'm Beverly.
You're sticking a red-hot poker up my ass.
I've been known to insist on big titties.